Ready New York 2.0 webinar. Today we'll be talking about the program, but also some important updates. So really appreciate you guys joining. My name is Adam Lomasny. I am a program manager in the Clean Transportation Department at NYSERDA. My group oversees a number of different incentive programs that you might be familiar with, and the Charge Ready New York program is one of them. We released this program almost a year ago today, back in July of last year. And, over the time we've have seen some pretty cool projects, but, have listened to feedback from different project applicants, different installers, other people that have gone through it. And here today to say that we've made a couple changes, which we think are going to open up access a bit to the program, hopefully increase ease of applying and make some things clear. So I want to introduce the team that's here today to go through all this stuff, and we'll also be taking questions and be able to share this presentation with you after. So I guess I'll start with Natalie.
John, do you mind? Next slide. Perfect. Hi, everyone. So great to be on this webinar. Thank you all for joining. My name is Natalie. I'm a project manager here at NYSERDA. I manage a couple other programs like the Near Trip Voucher program, but I also help on the RFQL 5312 proposal qualification process for charging equipment and networks for the Charge Ready Level 2 program. So really great to have you all here, and I will pass it over to Dave.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dave McCabe. I am project manager for the Charge Ready New York program, as well as the Drive Clean rebate program. I'll be talking about the majority of these slides today. And also joining us is Stella Lee from our implementation contractor.
Thanks, Dave. I'll just do a quick intro myself from the CSC side. So my name is Stella Lee. I am the Senior Operations Manager. And we are the implementation contractor for the Charge Ready New York 2.0 program. We also do work in a few other transportation programs with this group as well at NYSERDA.
Next slide.
Okay, so we've already done a team introduction. We're going to go over a brief introduction of the Charge Ready New York program, and then we're going to get into the program overview, as well as some updates that we've made to site eligibility, bonus incentive programs, some of the changes for the Salesforce application process, as well as the RFQL updates. And then we'll do some clarifications to some frequently asked questions that CSC is being asked during the application process. So next slide. So the Charge Ready New York program is incentive for level 2 charging stations in New York State. It was designed to reduce the cost of purchasing and installing level 2 chargers. The first round was launched in 2018 and expired all their funding in 2021. And this round launched July 17th of last year. So it's almost 1 year that we've been open. And today we're going to talk about some of the updates that we've made recently to this program. Next slide. As with the first round, there's 3 types of locations that are eligible. It's workplace locations, multi-unit dwelling locations, and public facilities. Workplace locations are like office buildings, factories, hospitals, universities, and schools. Multi-unit dwellings are apartments, condominiums, and in this round, hotels and motels are considered multi-unit dwellings. For public facilities, it's municipal parking lots, on-street parking, government buildings, public libraries, municipal state parks, municipal recreation centers. We've clarified in this modification, we've added places of worship and nonprofit entities that run community centers such as YMCAs and Boys and Girls Clubs. And to be eligible in a public location, they must be located within a disadvantaged community and be accessible to the public. On the right-hand side, you'll see the incentives per port. Public facilities are eligible for $4,000 per port, and workplace and MUD locations are eligible for $2,000 with a $500 bonus if you're located within a DAC. If any of the ports are installed in assigned parking locations, such as, reserved for apartment 17 or reserved for the president of the company, those ports are only eligible for $1,000. Small locations are required to put in 4 ports, minimum of 4 ports, and large locations are required to put in a minimum of 10 ports. And the clarification in this change, it used to be that any multi-unit dwelling with 25 or more connected housing units was considered a large unit, and any workplace with 100 employees was considered a large location. Now we've changed it to the number of parking spaces, so it's all based on the parking spaces. If your facility has 100 or more parking spaces, you're considered a large location, and you're required to install 10 charging ports. And as I mentioned, motels and hotels are multi-unit dwellings in this round, and they will always be considered a small location regardless of their size. So they're only required to put in a minimum of 4 ports. Next slide. As with the first round, applicants can apply in 2 ways. They can do a pre-installation application. Once you submit that application and it is approved, you'll have 180 days from that approval date to complete your project. If the project is not completed within those 180 days, your application is canceled. The funding goes back into the program and you would have to reapply. You can apply as a post-installation application as long as the application is submitted within 90 days of the installation activation date. And this round, we've also allowed installers to apply on behalf of the equipment owners. We do have limits on the dollars in a single calendar year that applicants can apply for. In the first round, it was $200,000. In this round, it was $300,000. But we've increased the limit on installers to $1 million. So equipment owners can apply for no more than $300,000 in a single calendar year, and installers can apply for up to $1 million in a single calendar year. And general contractors who hold the permits and whatnot on large projects, they're eligible to apply as an installer, even though they might not be doing the actual installation themselves. They can apply as the installer. And these limits will be tracked using the application approval date. Next slide. So applicants can apply for up to 25% of the total parking spaces, and that includes 25% of the unassigned parking spots as well as 25% of the assigned parking spots, up to a maximum of 40 ports per site. Anything over 20 ports per site, NYSERDA will review to determine if the site is feasible for that many ports. And the number of existing ports that you already have on site will be subtracted from the maximum amount allowed. All locations must have a minimum of 20 parking spaces. That has not changed. We listed out here some of the locations that are ineligible, trying to clarify some of the applicants were having some not understanding our requirements, I guess. Privately owned parking garages and facilities are ineligible. Restaurants and retail locations are ineligible. Seasonal locations that operate less than 75% of the year are ineligible. And charging stations installed at car dealerships are considered workplace locations and must be installed in designated employee parking areas. Workplace locations, charging equipment has to be installed at parking spaces reserved for employees parking at a workplace site. Multi-unit dwellings must have 10 or more connected housing units, and motels and hotels are considered small MUDs. And public facilities, if it's in a municipal lot, the price for EV parking can be no more than the municipality's on-street parking rate. Next slide. Charge Ready NY 2.0 also offers a bonus incentive to workplace and MUD locations. You would have to deliver 4 quarterly industry updates that are going to be prepared by one of our implementation contractors. In addition to that, you will have to complete two of the following of these three following options. One is to participate in a ride and drive event or host two presentations from car dealers. That used to be three. We've changed that down to two. Complete a purchase of multiple new electric vehicles for your workplace fleet or for multiple tenants. That was 3 for a small location and 6 for large. We've reduced that to 2 for a small location and 4 for the large locations. Or offer free charging to your employees or tenants for 1 year. Once you complete the 4 quarterly reports and 2 of these 3 options, you'll receive your bonus incentive for small locations, that is $4,000, and for large locations, that's $10,000. Next slide. These are some of the changes in the Salesforce application itself. We have added a 4th applicant type. So, and we've changed the way they're titled, so it makes it a little clearer. So the equipment owner can apply and receive the funding, or the equipment owner can apply and the funding will go to the installer. So that would be equipment owner payee if they are receiving the funds, or equipment owner non-payee if they want the funding to go directly to the installer. An installer can apply and receive the funding, that would be installer payee, or the installer can apply and have the funding go directly to the equipment owner, that would be the installer non-payee. We've also added a utility pick list. When you're in the project site information section, we are now requiring a site map showing all parking spaces and the location of where the chargers are going to be installed. We've been asking for this for quite a while, but now it's in the implementation manual. Permit must be active from the application submitted date through the installation activation date. 3-year minimum warranty. Items covered and the cost must be displayed on all invoices. This was always in the requirements. Just want to clarify that. A make-ready funding, if applicable, must be displayed on all invoices. And data networking is required for the full 5-year reporting period. That's also something we require on the invoices to the equipment owner, for the equipment owner's awareness of what they would be required to pay for the next 5 years. Next slide. Okay, now we're going to get into some changes to the RFQL, and I'll turn it over to Natalie.
Hi, everyone. So just going through some changes that we made to the RFQL 5312 process. Most of the information on this slide is stuff that is already in the document. Just wanted to kind of point it out. But the first overarching issue is regarding white labeled networks and equipment. So something that we've added clearly in the language is that if a company is white labeling a network or piece of equipment, they must apply as their own piece of white labeled equipment through the RFQL 5312 process. It must already be a network or piece of equipment on our eligibility list as of right now. So you cannot come in as a white labeled company and white label a charger or a network that is not already approved. So that's kind of the way it has to go. The original OEM has to apply, be approved, and then the white label company comes in and applies for that white labeled piece of equipment or network, and then they are approved and added to our list. This was an issue we were seeing in some applications, so we wanted to add in this language to clear that up. Additionally, just going into some of the other little tidbits that we wanted to just bring up again to make sure that folks are adhering to these requirements. Starting over at the charging equipment side, we really have to push that charging equipment must have a display screen. This display screen has to clearly display customer pricing per kW. Additionally, we added requirements in the previous mod that we made to our RFQL and our implementation manual that all of our equipment on our list is all ISO 15118 Part 3 hardware ready. That was a requirement by March 31st, 2024. That is a hard deadline. So all of our equipment on our list right now has already been vetted for this and is Part 3 hardware ready. And then additionally, just wanted to remind folks that all charging equipment and accessories must have a warranty of 3 years or longer. Most folks have 2 to 3 year warranty, so just want to make sure it's that 3 years specifically. Over to the network capabilities, we did edit this a little bit to make it more clear on how payment can be accepted by credit card. So it doesn't have to be a physical card reader. You have to allow credit card payment somehow. So that could be a QR code, that could be a website that they could go to and pay posted by credit card, but they must be able to pay via credit card in some way, shape, or form. Additionally, on top of this, a toll-free telephone number has to be posted for drivers to pay by phone if they, maybe they're not tech savvy, maybe they need another way to pay. So a toll-free telephone number has to be on there. And also additionally about that toll-free number, another part of that is you also have to have a toll-free customer support number for folks to call. This has to be accessible for folks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never know when people are going to come and charge. So we really got to make sure that if there's an issue, they're able to have it resolved, pretty quickly. We don't want issues going on for long. We want them to be addressed, as they come. Next slide, please. And I will turn it over to Stella for the next 2 slides.
Thanks, Natalie. As NYSERDA's program implementation contractor for Charge Ready New York 2.0, we get quite a few questions, so I just wanted to go through some of the frequently asked questions that we receive, so just so we can all be informed about that. So first question is, what is white labeled charging equipment? So to go into a little more detail about it, white labeled charging equipment is equipment that is manufactured by an original equipment manufacturer, or OEM. It's then rebranded and sold by other companies under other brand names. White label vendors are only eligible to apply after the charging station's OEM has applied and been pre-approved for the corresponding model. Next question is, does white label charging equipment qualify if the original equipment manufacturer, or OEM, is approved for the program? The answer to this is no. White label charging equipment must apply through the RFQL 5312 separately to become eligible for the program. Applications that are entered with white labeled equipment that has not yet been approved will be canceled. Next question is, can my equipment on my application be changed at a later date? And the answer to this is also no. The equipment you apply with must be eligible at the time of application. If it is not yet eligible, your application will be canceled and you will then need to reapply once that equipment is eligible. Next question is, how do I apply for a site that may fall into multiple site type categories? The answer to this is a separate application should be submitted for each site type. There are some cases where some sites may have a multi-unit dwelling, as well as an office space. So in this situation, a separate application would need to be submitted for those types. Next slide, please. All right, so the next question here is, what happens if I don't meet the 180-day deadline for my pre-installation project? The response is the applicant has 180 days, calendar days, from the pre-approval date to submit final documentation for their incentive. If final documentation is not received within those 180 calendar days after the pre-approval date, the pre-installation approval will be canceled, the reserved funds will be released, and the applicant may reapply. Next question is, how many days do I have to make corrections to my application? The answer here is if an application or its required documents are determined to be incomplete, illegible, or missing required information, the applicant will be notified of the error via email and will have 15 calendar days from the date of notification to correct any errors. And the follow-up question to this is, what happens if I don't make corrections to my project within the 15 calendar day deadline? And the answer is, if the errors are not corrected within 15 calendar days, the application will be canceled and any reserved funds will be released. If it is a pre-installation application, you may reapply for one additional 180-day pre-approval period. That is something that's a little bit new for this round, where we're not allowing multiple applying multiple times. If it is a post-install application, applicants can reapply for incentive for that charging equipment if it is still within 90 calendar days of the installation date. And next slide, please. That is, I believe, the end of our frequently asked questions. So I believe I can take it into any Q&A that anybody has at this point.
And just a reminder, folks, the Q&A should be at the sidebar on your screen. So feel free to drop in any questions if you have any, and we are here to answer. One question that we just got in is how frequently is the fund balance on the program website updated?
That funding is updated as soon as a project is, like a pre-approval project is approved, then that funding is updated because those funds are encumbered. So it's immediately.
We received another question. Is maintenance and repair of the equipment an eligible cost?
No, it is not. It's the warranty, cost of the warranty. If you have a 2-year standard warranty on the equipment and you offer an extended warranty, that extra cost for the extended warranty can be included as part of the cost.
This is a good one. Is this program stackable with any other incentive programs or with other incentive programs? I can actually answer that. So the short answer is yes, it is, and we encourage that. Specifically with joint utility make-ready programs through the state of New York, those cover behind the kind of the utility costs. So running conduit, transformers, anything that might be needed for typically a larger installation, and then the Charge Ready New York 2.0 program would cover the other things that we enumerated before, such as the cost of the charger. If you are in the service territory of a participating utility, you should go to their website and check out their Make Ready EV programs and see what they offer. But combining those is typically a good way to go, and we encourage that. You can also use any tax credits in addition with this, but that comes after this. So that's another route as well that could be combined with these incentives. Another good question. If the joint utility extension of the ISO 15118 and OCP 2.0.1 requirement dates go extended to 2025, will NYSERDA be extending? That's something we're in talks with the Public Service Commission and the Department of Public Service. I will answer right now by saying we do our best to try and align requirements best as we can. So what you see for Charge Ready's technology requirements are going to stay, but I think what we'll be doing is in the next couple weeks and months and having conversations about that when the decision is made and how we can best align to avoid programs that are unaligned.
Yes.
And just to follow up on that, there's another question about OCP compliance, specifically with 2.0.1. The question is, will the Charge Ready program begin to move from what we currently have today, which is 1.6? That's something we're looking at, but as of right now, we don't have any current plans to change that. But if we do, that's something we'll definitely provide a lot of notice to participants.
I did just also want to add to that question. We do have a lot of folks that already are OCPP 2.0 ready, and if they are, then we list them as so. It's just the minimum for us is 1.6. Molly asked the question of, what is your application rejection rate?
Off the hand, we wouldn't know. That's not something we typically share, mostly because it's not, just because, I guess it depends what you're looking for. Just because something's rejected doesn't necessarily mean it was a bad application per se. So, that's something we don't, really share. But, if you're looking for something specific, a piece of information, feel free to contact us and we'll see what we can get to.
And Whitney, I saw you asked a similar question. Are you able to share percentages of unapproved and canceled projects? That is also something, feel free to reach out to the emails below if you want something specific. But we typically don't share that information per project.
One last question, maybe Dave could take this. Question is, what if a property owner doesn't want us to have a sign that says non-EVs will be towed at owner's expense? Can we just have a sign that says EV parking only? Dave, what's our policy around signage and what it says?
It depends on the location. If it's a public location, it's New York State law that it has to have EV parking while charging only sign. If it's a workplace or a multi-unit dwelling location, we do require EV parking only signs. They don't have to say while charging only, and they don't have to say, ICE vehicles can be towed.
Well, I think we're happy to stay for a few more minutes if people have last minute questions, and then we may wrap up. And again, we're happy to share this presentation with everybody, and you have our contact information for further questions. So I think we'll be here for a few more minutes and then wrap up.
I think Adam or Dave, this is a question for either of you. Samantha asked in the chat, are there any reliability metrics that owners and operators must meet? And Samantha, if you wouldn't mind to maybe diving into more of what reliability metrics you are referring to. Uptime.
If they're talking about uptime, any charger that is inactive for more than 90 days is considered to be out of compliance, and they could be they could be eligible for recoupment that we would come after if the chargers are not either repaired, fixed, come back online. So up to 90 days is what we consider for level 2. I mean, for level 3, it's a different animal. But
Well, it looks like questions are wrapping up. So again, I want to thank everyone for attending. And if you've already participated in the program, thanks for doing that. And for those of you who haven't, we look forward to hopefully seeing applications or answering any of your questions. We also, like we said, we really do try to take feedback and integrate things we can into the program to make it run smoother. And at the end of the day, we're trying to get the chargers out there. So again, please feel free to contact us, and thanks again for your time.